Let's go ahead and talk about the next file that we submit in Fall 2 here. So after the SDEM file comes the staff assignment file type. The staff assignment file reflects a staff member's responsibilities at a school site, district, or county office of education. It also reflects a staff member's credentials and assignments at a particular school site. And these are the notable points that we want to ensure that you understand with regards to the staff assignment or SASS file type. You'll need to coordinate again with human resources and with school site staff. These are the kind of two mainstays of Fall 2 reporting in obtaining the relevant data for the staff assignment file. And again, in ensuring an accurate data submission in CalPads for Fall 2 more generally. So, who do you report with staff assignment records? Again, you only report staff with a seed, and you do not report a staff assignment record for staff with no seed. There are instances in Fall 2 where a staff member has no seed, and so a generic seed of all nines is used. But this will always be in course section enrollment records and never in staff assignment or staff demographic records. Do not use a generic seed of all nines in staff demographic or staff assignment records. Only use it in course section records for courses taught by teachers not employed by your LEA. Okay, you will need to report the job classifications for your staff members with seeds in the staff assignment record. And there are 5 possibilities for job classifications. There's administrator, pupil services, teacher, non-certificated charter school teacher, and itinerant teacher. There are resources from the CTC linked to on screen with more information on all teacher or admin and pupil services classifications. Non-classroom based support assignments are assignments that do not involve the instruction of students, and LEAs must report all non-classroom based support assignments that each staff member has, and up to 7 different assignments for each staff member can be included per job classification. If a teacher's assignment does not involve the instruction of students, remember this is a teacher's assignment that does not involve the instruction of students. For example, a teacher on special assignment doing curriculum development, the LEA should report a non-classroom based or support assignment for that teacher in the staff assignment file. Teachers on support assignments who are, for example, doing curriculum development are reported with a non-classroom based job assignment code of 6028, teacher on special assignment. Any certificated employee, including a teacher, who is still employed by your LEA but has taken a temporary leave of absence from their staff assignments may be submitted with a non-classroom based or support assignment code of 6018, employee on leave. But please note that in order to use code 6018, a staff member cannot have any additional non-classroom based job assignments. And there have been some changes to the use of code 6018 that we'll get to in a few slides here. All non-classroom based or support assignment codes can be found in the CalPADS code sets document, and you can find additional guidance on the appropriate use of these codes in the CalPADS valid code combinations document. When reporting staff assignments, you will need to know the teachers to report. We have resources linked to on this slide, which will help you to know how to report teachers in different assignment scenarios, in special education assignments in classroom versus non-classroom settings, and teacher librarian assignments. You'll additionally need to report administrator and pupil services staff who have seeds with the correct assignments. And you'll need to determine and report staff full-time equivalency or FTE percentages as determined locally. And you'll need to know how to assign staff to one or multiple school sites using the school of assignment field. And we will discuss all of these pertinent items of information in this section here. So let's go ahead and move on to look at the actual staff assignment file itself in online maintenance here. So this slide shows the staff assignment record in CalPads in online maintenance. And the staff job classification code is that's the field labeled 1 on the slide here. This is a key field in the staff assignment record, and this is a code selected based on a staff member's credentials. And again, there are 5 possibilities: administrator, pupil services, teacher, non-certificated charter school teacher, and itinerant push-in or pull-out teacher. There are times when an individual has multiple job classifications, for example, both an administrator and a teacher. And in this case, you would report 2 job classifications in 2 different staff assignment records. You can have multiple staff assignment records for an individual staff member to reflect multiple job classifications, but the FTE percentage for all classifications cannot exceed 200%. There are also times when a staff member has multiple jobs in a single classification, for example, teaching both English and Spanish. And in this case, you would submit a single staff assignment record with a single job classification code and report the full-time equivalency for all jobs in that classification. And again, the full-time equivalency for a single classification cannot exceed 200%. When you submit a staff assignment record with a staff job classification code, you will need to submit the job classification full-time equivalency percentage that is labeled 2 on the screenshot on the slide here. The staff member FTE is reported by job classification and by school site. The FTE should be determined locally by human resources, but you'll need to know how to populate it correctly in the student's information system and in CALPADS. The FTE, again, cannot be less than 5 and cannot be over 200%. And then the non-classroom based job assignment fields, that's the field labeled 3, as well as all of the fields below 2 and 3. There are 7 fields for non-classroom based job assignment codes. And these fields represent the function performed based on a job member or a staff member's job classification. I'm sorry. This function will, by definition, not involve the instruction of students. This field is required for job classification codes of 10, administrator, 11, pupil services, and 25. For classifications and assignments that do involve the instruction of students, course section records are submitted rather than populating the non-classroom based support assignment in the staff assignment record. All right, so we did touch on FTE, but it is an important item in the staff assignment record. So let's go ahead and provide some more detailed guidance with regards to full-time equivalency. For each staff member reported, LEAs must report the percentage of full-time equivalency spent in each classification by school site. The total full-time equivalency percentage for all of a staff member's job classifications cannot exceed 200% and cannot be less than 5%. And we do have some examples on the slide here. If a staff member devotes their full-time schedule to work as a principal, then 100 should be reported in the FTE percentage field because 100% of the FTE is spent working in the job classification of principal. And the same is true of a teacher. If a staff member works full-time as a teacher and all of their time at your LEA is devoted to teaching, you would report them with an FTE of 100 under the job classification of teacher. For a staff member who works exactly half of their time in administration and the other exactly half of their time in teaching, you would report 50% FTE to the job classification of administrator and 50% FTE to the job classification of teacher. And the various scenarios that LEAs encounter when reporting staff assignment records can get relatively complex relatively quickly here. So the next few slides are going to run us through some different scenarios for staff assignment reporting. And we're going to start with some teacher assignment scenarios here. So the example on the top of the screen shows Elizabeth Hoover, who's a full-time teacher with teaching assignments at multiple schools, but no assignments outside of the classroom. Her job classification is itinerant teacher 27 with an FTE of 50 per site. And a non-classroom based assignment is left blank because the staff members' assignments are all in the classroam. It's important to note that a staff assignment record must be submitted for every site where a staff member works. And so even though this is the same reporting LEA and the same job classification code, it's at multiple school sites and we need to submit a staff assignment record for each school site. So we have 50% of the full-time equivalency for Elizabeth Hoover dedicated to Emerson Elementary and 50% of the FTE for Elizabeth Hoover dedicated to Longfellow Arts and Technology Middle. The example on the bottom shows a different scenario with Hoover as a teacher who teaches for an extra period. A normal full-time teacher teaches 5 classes at this school. So each class would be 20 FTE, but the FTE for Elizabeth Hoover is listed as 120 because she teaches 6 classes. We would use a staff job classification code of 12 teacher here because in this scenario, Elizabeth Hoover works full-time as a teacher at a single school site. And again, the non-classroom based job assignment fields are left blank because this staff member's assignments are all in the classroom. This slide lists scenarios for administrator and pupil services job classifications for the staff assignment record. And the upper example shows a full-time principal, as indicated by the job classification code of 10, administrator, in conjunction with the non-classroom-based job assignment code of 301, principal. A second assignment has been added for this staff member for a teaching job classification with job classification code of 12, teacher, in addition to the principal staff assignment record. Because this staff member works 100% of their contracted time performing duties in the administrator classification principal assignment, the FTE is reported with 100 under the administrator job classification. But in addition to duties performed as a principal, this staff member also has or dedicates about 1/3 of a teacher's scheduled time to the job classification of teacher. So in addition to 100% FTE as a principal, the staff member has 33% FTE dedicated to the job classification of teacher. And then the lower example on this slide shows a staff member with multiple assignments in 2 different job classifications. The staff member would have credentials for each job classification and assignments describing the duties that they perform in each job classification. The work as a psychologist, social worker, and student support services are all in a single job classification, but they are listed as 3 assignments. Notice that the FTE is reported as 100 and is undivided. This is because FTE is reported by job classification and by school site, not by assignment. The additional classification as a teacher here with the job classification code of 12 is reported with an FTE of 33%. And the assignment for the teaching job classification code would be a course section record assigned to the seat of the staff member rather than a non-classroom based job assignment. And then this slide shows various reporting scenarios for district level assignments for the staff assignment record. And the top example shows a superintendent, as indicated by the job classification code of 10, administrator, in conjunction with the non-classroom based job assignment code of 100, superintendent. Since the superintendent is an employee of the district and is not assigned to a school site, the school of assignment code is the same as the reporting LEA code. It is the district code. So we have the reporting LEA and school of assignment both listed at the district level. Although this is not a charter school administrator, charter school administrators would be reported in the same way, except we would use a non-classroom based job assignment code of 160 instead of 100 for charter school administrators. And the example below shows a teacher who may teach at the district level or may teach at multiple school sites within the district. The teacher is assigned to the district, again, using the district code in the school of assignment field, the same code that's used in the reporting LEA field. But we should note here that in order for teachers to be assigned to the district, they'll need to have all of their courses with the School of Course Delivery at the district level, and the student course sections for their courses will be reported with the School of Attendance at the district as well. And so these scenarios where we have a teacher reported to the district level are relatively rare. This table provides guidance for various common scenarios that LEAs encounter when reporting staff assignment records for teachers. Please save this slide separately and have it handy when you're submitting staff assignment records to CalPads, as it will prove valuable to your work. You'll always want to report the teacher of record in the top row here. You'll always want to report the teacher of record or the professional who is contractually obligated or employed as the instructor of the course with a staff assignment record. In regular circumstances, you report them with a staff job classification code of 12, and you would assign the appropriate state course code for the class to that teacher. The non-classroom based support assignment field is optional, and it may be populated only if the teacher also has non-instructional assignments. Otherwise, it is not applicable. If the teacher of record is on leave, so that's the scenario in the second row of this table here, if the teacher of record is on leave, you are still required to report the teacher's seed to the course. In this case, you would report the staff job classification code as 12, and the non-classroom based support assignment code as 6018, employee on leave. And you would still assign the appropriate state course code for the class to the teacher of record who is on leave. And that way CalPADS will know both that this is the teacher of record and that they are on leave. If the teacher of record is on special assignments, that's the third row here, you would still use a staff job classification code of 12 and a non-classroom based job assignment code, this time of 6028, teacher on special assignment. You would assign the appropriate state course code for the course, again, to the teacher of record who is on special assignment. And this way, CalPADS will know both that this is the teacher of record and that they are on special assignment. You should report charter school non-certificated teachers of record with a job classification code of 26, otherwise reporting them in the same way as standard teachers of record. If a substitute is the teacher of record for a class because there is no permanent hire for that class, you would report the substitute teaching the class on census day in the staff assignment record with a job classification code of 12, 26, or 27, depending on the specifics of your scenario. If you wish to additionally identify the teacher as a long-term or a day-to-day substitute, you can report the non-classroom based job assignment code of 6014. However, this is an optional field in this case. In the course section record, you would assign the appropriate state course code for the class to the substitute teacher of record in this scenario. And then substitute teachers permanently employed and not currently assigned to a course section can be reported with staff assignment records using a job classification code, again, of 12, 26, or 27, depending on the specifics of your scenario, and a non-classroom based support assignment code of 6014, day-to-day substitute teacher, permanent employee. For those itinerant push-in or pull-out teachers who perform English Learner Services, PE, or even RSP, you would assign a job classification code of 27 and report a state course code of 9103 or 9104. For those RSP pull-out push-in teachers, you would use a state course code of 9231, but you do have the option of not reporting student course section records to a job classification code of 27. And then next, college teachers not employed by the LEA are assigned to courses with a generic seed of all nines. And we do not submit staff assignment records for college professors who are not employed by the LEA. For teachers not employed by the LEA, these are teaching at a regional occupation program or center, distance learning, or third-party teachers. They are also assigned to the appropriate state course code in course section records. Using either the valid seed of that teacher, if you can track it down, if they do have a seed and you're able to locate that information, it is helpful to include their actual seed in the staff assignment record. Or if you're not able to track it down, you can report them in course section records with the generic seed of all nines. But please note that if using a generic seed of all nines, CalPADS will automatically trigger a misassignment. And a misassignment is the placement of a certificated staff member in a teaching or service position without the legally recognized credential, certificate, permit, or waiver. All right, there is additional information to know for special education teachers, which we've placed on the slide here, but we've pulled from the CalPADS FAQs. So please do look at the CalPADS FAQs on the CDE website for more information on reporting your special education teachers. Special day class teachers are reported with a state course code of 1000, self-contained, and an instructional strategy code of 700, special education. If the course is departmentalized, LEA should select the appropriate state course code and assign an instructional strategy code, again, of 700, special education. There are times when RSPs, resource specialist programs, are team teaching with a teacher in a mainstream class. In prior years, LEAs have reported both teachers to a single class and called it a day. However, CalPADS now requires you to separate that RSP teacher from the class and report a state course code of 9231, which is Special Education Support Resource Specialist Program, and an instructional strategy code of, again, 700, special education. If you don't want to report students enrolled in that RSP class, you can mark the job classification code as 27 because job classification codes of 27 can instruct students but do not require student course section records reported to them. If you report those RSP teachers with a staff job classification code of 27, you will not trigger the CERT 79, no enrollment for course section error, if there are no student course section records reported to the class. There has been a change to staff assignment records this academic year with regards to the full-time equivalency percentage reported for teachers on leave, or for teachers with a non-classroom based job assignment of 6018, employee on leave. Formerly, the FTE percentage that we reported for teachers on leave was 0, but they were still associated with courses. That being the case, the FTE percentages and time couldn't be associated with courses for teachers of record who were on leave. Substitute teachers can be reported in their place in course section records, but substitutes don't have full-time equivalency associated with classes. So by allowing FTE for employees on leave, we're now allowing for time to be associated with course section records for teachers on leave, making FTE more accurate. So in this vein, teachers designated in CALPADS as on leave, that is folks with a job classification code of 12 and a non-classroom based job assignment code of 6018, are now able to have FTE reported to them, and the FTE for teachers on leave now must be populated with an FTE greater than 1. LEAs should report the FTE these teachers typically receive when they are not on leave. This will make course section data and the FTE reporting associated with course section records more accurate, overcoming the issue that substitutes do not have FTE data, allowing for no FTE to be associated with these courses. And that does conclude our discussion of the staff assignment record.